What is TF2's worst weapon? Popular answers include the Sun on a Stick, the Righteous Bison, the Sharpened Volcano Fragment, the Syringe Gun, etc., etc. Throw all of those out. None of those even made the bottom of my list. The problem that I ran into is the word weapon. Merriam-Webster defines weapon as something, such as a club, knife, or gun, used to injure, defeat, or destroy. If we go by Madam Web's definition, then the worst weapon in TF2 is by far the Medi-Gun. Not only does the Medi-Gun not do any damage at all, it actually heals people. That's the exact opposite of what we're looking for in a good weapon. Even if we discounted it because it's actively used during fights, we're left with the sandwich, which requires you to be away from the fight and safe before you can even reliably use it. But then comes another problem. Of course, TF2 classifies these as weapons, but does that mean that they are actually weapons? All of the Medi-Guns, plus the sandwich, banana, chocolate bar, they don't really count as weapons. They can't injure, defeat, or destroy. They're basically the antonym of weapon. The Crusader's crossbow can stay though, since it can injure, but it could be argued that a lot of TF2's weapons don't count at all. The Inviswatch, Girardi, Mad Milk, Sapper, Gunboats, Razorback, Buff Banner, Bonk, Conch, and many, many, many more simply are not weapons and can't be in consideration. I don't care if they make other weapons stronger or do more damage or make you move faster. If it doesn't directly injure, defeat, or destroy, it is not a weapon. If we look at the remaining weapons, we're left with even more questions. Are boxing gloves weapons? They're mostly designed to protect the hands of the boxers, so not really. Like, obviously in-game they have traits and they can do damage, but the heavy can also fight with just his normal hands, and hands definitely aren't weapons. So I would just consider these to be more safety gear and stats modifiers. On a similar vein, the hot hand is just a glove, and the gunslinger is just a prosthetic. Is a wrench a weapon? Like, yes, they can be used as weapons, but does that mean that this wrench right here, on its own, separated from anyone else, is a weapon? I would argue no. A wrench is not a weapon simply because it can be used as one. It would also disqualify the pickaxes, most fire axes, the frying pans, the candy items, the flare guns, the ham, the home wrecker, the bone saw, the rap assassin, the shovels, the flying guillotine, the spicicle, the solemn vow, holy mackerel, man treads, neon annihilator, power jack, back scratcher, postal bombware, thermal thruster, Nestle's 9 iron, the bottles, and even the baseball bats, since while all of those can be weapons, they are not inherently weapons. That being said, they can be modified and turned into weapons, like the Boston Basher, which is a baseball bat with a bunch of spikes attached to it. A similar train of thought can be used for the shields. Sure, you can charge and shield bash, but is the shield the weapon? Or is your body running into someone at super speed actually what's doing the real damage? Is it the shield's fault that you can run faster when you don't have to carry a sticky bomb launcher? Like the Tide Turner is just a broken steering wheel. So we're left with these. Some guns, some stabby things, some explodey things. At the very least, after removing so many options, we can finally narrow down what the best weapon in TF2 is. The text chat, obviously. According to Psychology Today, Medium, and the hit band Seether, words can be weapons. Now, obviously, not all words. However, things like slurs, hate speech, and so on definitely are weapons, and they have killed before. But that doesn't really answer the question, now does it? So here's where we have to define the word worst. As a word, worst is malleable. Not quite as much as bad, but still not easy to pin down. For example, when discussing the worst serial killers, the names that pop up are often the ones who were the best at serial killing. Then, if you add perspective, things get even more complicated. In TF2, the worst weapon that someone can use is the one that helps them win the least, which would then make it the best weapon they could use for the other team. If you average those out, every weapon would be dead center mediocre, effectively making every remaining weapon into a tie. This is getting complicated. Let's just say that it's all from the user's perspective, and we'll back up a bit. This right here, is this a weapon? What about this? Is this one? Well, is this a pipe? The Treachery of Images is a famous art piece and thought experiment by René Frenchperson that states one very simple thing. This is not a pipe. It is a representation of a pipe. You can't stuff it or smoke it. It's a painting. Similarly, this is not a weapon. It is a picture of a weapon. Even in-game, this is not a weapon. It is a 3D model projected into 2D and then rendered to your screen in order for you to interact with the ones and zeros on some server somewhere. Therefore, even if we loosen our definition of weapon and return everything that we disqualified, none of these are weapons. They are all representations of weapons. So after all of this effort and consideration, I can now confidently say TF2's worst weapon is this copy of the Xbox 360 Orange Box Collection that I duct taped a nail to. I call it the Orange Basher. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment your thoughts, and thanks for coming to my TED Talk.